Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon.
How you doing? I'm going to see you. Remember that time you made about me?
Well, they're across my table.
You're all wrong.
And I'm not less vertically.
I think the last time you came to my house, it was under very happy circumstances. With your brother and some other people. And everything was good. You come here today under sad circumstances.
Why is it sad?
Why is it sad? Because, speaking for myself, I'm hurt. Because I believed in you.
There's no need to be hurt.
Why?
I believe in the party.
I believed in you. I did
And
not
I
put you
also
first.
believe in what the party represents.
Well then we have no problem.
Right. So I don't see need to be hurt.
Okay.
I don't think that anything was done
To hurt me? You hurt my
anyone.
party, you hurt me.
I
So,
don't,
but anyway, before we go any further, we want to establish some here, both Mr. Bizer and myself, confidentiality. If you feel the need to speak to the media, then just make sure that you put forward what we say without the twist that you are so good at doing. So that's all I ask. I am asking you that. And if that is okay, and you accept that, then there won't be any problem. Whatever we say here, I would prefer for it to be confidential, but because of you, it can't be, because you don't want it to be, because you're a media person. I am not. You come from Judge Price. I know in talk. But that's what I'm asking. Is that okay?
of course it's okay.
All
I
right.
have never disclosed anything
Oh, yes, you
said
have.
confidential to the media.
Oh, yes, you have. But we won't go into that. Okay?
Okay.
So we have that. Anything you want to say?
Well, I don't know what I'm here to do at this particular juncture. Is it a vetting? Is it
Maybe I can just name with your permission, Chair. The vetting committee is 4 persons.
Yeah.
We have Victor Scott, member of the National Executive, strategic manager. We also have Mr. Silky Stewart, I think a good friend of yours. In terms of the vetting, we have already had one meeting where we went through all the different candidates. Obviously, yours wasn't there because at the time it wasn't accepted.
okay?
And so we had to meet again to go through yours. I think it was felt that it was important because it's a specific case that we actually meet people. It's unfortunate that the elected members could not be here, but we have heard from them some of their concerns as well, for this reason. But yes, I think we're undergoing the process.
Okay.
I think one of the things that has come out, especially I would say in your case, is that we have to make sure that we pass on the T's and that are I's, and certainly it is to listen from you.
Yeah.
So it gives you a chance also to make representations to certain things.
Sure.
So if I could.
Mr. Bradley is here. His name is will be a part of this session.
Who's Bradley?
Vicky,
Oh, he's with Arthur?
I believe so.
You are with Arthur?
The last time I checked.
Really?
Well, I don't know if he's going to be allowed.
Huh?
It's just.
He can take care of himself.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
doesn't
no
need
problem.
you.
No, I mean, if we were not, we
No,
were
no.
not apprised of that, so that we didn't lock you out. So,
It's your chair, it's up to you.
if you want to come and sit in here, let us go.
I learned something. I can. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Lenny, how are you?
I am fine, my
You
dear.
are?
The last time you saw me, you
My
helped
brother.
me.
That's it.
The last time I saw you?
You helped me up.
Yes, but now it's, you know, I
am
don't know what is the
retired now.
protocol. I don't know what is the protocol. I don't know if I have
Yeah,
to
they know one session.
go through a vetting first, so can I just have other people in there? No?
Yes.
This is not the good old days of George Price party. Can't forget
Oh yes, it
permission.
is the good
It
old
is?
days of the George Price party.
Okay,
There are some of us who are trying to change
I
that.
stand corrected.
You are corrected.
Yes.
So
Go
you
on.
go back to the pink shirt. So you take out the blue shirt. The last time you announced that you bring back and you put on back the blue shirt.
Like that.
Yes, but if we could continue our matter. One of the first, I think, concerns of the committee had was the issue, if you go back to the court case that we had. Actually, the reason, I would think that the reason why we were suspended from that that issue was recently again on the news, and still certainly would seem to us to be unresolved. What do you feel about it?
Well, the first thing, in 2014, I was not suspended from the party. In 2014, I was removed as a standard bearer and removed from the national executive. And at that juncture, my penance for what was deemed to have been the infraction was served. We crossed that hurdle because the election was gone, and we're at a different position now, and I think that has been resolved now fully, that is the case. In terms of the issue with the Cowley family, it's a private issue. It was settled. In fact, the reason why it was settled the way it was because the past party leader, Mr. Fonseca, so it basically made the suggestion that I settle it, and once I settled it, I would have been allowed to run. So it was settled in the manner it was. Ms. Cowley was given certain funds, and she is being...
That was in 2014?
Yes, in 2014.
So this matter with Melanie is from 2014?
From 2014. Right, and it's a settled matter. The only reason why it has come up now was because of what happened with the application. It was not a situation that was brought up independent of that. In fact, for 4 years, nobody was saying anything about it.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm positive. It's not an issue. I've been on...
Well, I mean, the issue about it being on the media or whatever, obviously, does come with the minute that we sign the application. Then if it need to happen, obviously, you come under scrutiny for everything.
And,
whether it be in the past or, whatever.
Yes,
so,
yes.
so you know.
Yes,
so
that's
we
true.
figure
That's true.
all of us are following on the scrutiny.
And this is the thing, I have not been afraid to face that situation. It's not one that has created any problems for me. I'm a practicing attorney, been practicing for 10 years, without interruption. It has no bearing on my professional career. It has no bearing on my political career. It should not have any bearing on that at all. In Bomapan, the people of Bomapan who support me, that's not an issue for them. It was not an issue for the people in rural North either. But here we are in Bomapan now.
Can I ask you one thing? On the 10th of April, there is a Channel 7 interview on the news, and it says that you had defaulted on the payment, and that there was hardly any progress made, that a new judge, on some new judgment, and that afterwards you showed up with your lawyer, Ileana Swift, and agreed to pay $1,000 monthly for the next 4 months, starting from May 4th. So, after which you would revise the payment of the entire debt, right?
Yes.
Yet on your application here, which was the first discrepancy that we picked up, you said that your estimated total liability is $1,500.
Yes, $1,000 a month.
That is not your total liability. After all, don't be smart. Don't be smart, sweetie. That if you have a liability means in its entirety. Okay, and if you have a liability of God knows how much, I don't know, but you are agreed to pay 1,000 for 4 months, after which you would re-investigate that or revise
Revisit.
that,
Yeah.
revisit
Yeah.
it. Then
Yeah.
your total liability is not $1,500.
Come on.
Don't be cute.
No, I'm not
Don't
being
be
cute.
cute.
I'm not being cute.
Uh-huh.
That is the extent of the liability.
That cannot be the extent of the liability, please. That's the extent of the liability for a month and a half, $1,500. 1,000 a month and 500.
Could I just look at this quickly?
Yeah.
If you notice,
Yeah. What did I miss?
estimated total liability is your debt, if any, being serviced. Right?
No, two different
The
things.
debt being serviced is yes.
Mhm.
We don't have a
All
problem
right.
with that.
Yeah, but the total is
liability. Listen, yes. Again, this is a settlement of a matter.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's
The
being
matter which brought you into this repute in the first place. Yes, just move on. The answer is yes. Let's go. Don't try to.
it's a
spin
settlement.
words.
It's a settlement of a matter.
Uh-huh.
In terms of the liability, that is, from my understanding of the word liability, I'm talking about loans. We're talking about any outstanding debt to any financial institution. This is a situation where the court has made a determination, right? In fact, the determination was not even one that I had to argue for. It was the other side that proposed $1,000, not me. And I accepted their proposition, which I am in my right to do. We manage debt, and in managing debt, you do it in a way that you are able to maintain whatever it is that you have as your obligations, and you also service whatever it is that the debt requires without default. Now, in this particular instance, there is an issue and had been an issue, and that issue has always been that it should never have come to this. This was a situation where an agreement was made. As an attorney, I made the mistake of not signing a retainer with somebody I thought I knew, I thought was a friend. She turned around and made it a legal situation that shouldn't have been, for whatever reason. But at this juncture, this is not considered liability in the true sense.
Liability is a liability by any means. In any means, a liability is a liability. And if that is the case, then you should have put a codicil to the bottom and say it's not a liability in a true sense. My total liability is $1,500 a month. That is not correct. So you begin your application with you spin, and after you know me, know you, you're a spin master. You could spin anything. I know your babes. We go way back. You know, you're cute. I wanted to stop in just now, but I didn't. We have established a confidentiality here. If anything is misrepresented to the media, because I know it's going to go to the media, then no holds barred, right? So
It
your
seems
notes
to me
I would
we're starting from a position of no. This is what I'm gathering here, that we are starting our vetting, which I believe was is supposed to be an objective process.
yes, the first process is objective.
But we're starting from a position of no.
You can't tell me where we're starting from.
Well, this is what
Well,
I
you must keep
perceive.
that feeling privately and then
Okay.
prove it up later. But
Sure, no
don't
problem.
tell me, don't put that forward as if that is that is a position. You say that here.
I say it's a
and then-
perception. I say it's a perception. I'm not saying it's a position.
Okay,
It's
well
what I
then-
perceive it to be. If I'm
well-
wrong, I would be more than happy to be wrong.
Well, you know, perceptions always come across as being facts. But that perception is not correct. We are
Okay.
not beginning from a
Thank you.
premise of no. We are beginning on a premise of why. Why? Why the first discrepancy?
It's not a discrepancy. I'm
It is.
obligated to pay $15. I'm
That is not a
obligated to
total
pay
liability.
$1,000 a month.
That is not a total liability. If you ask me what my total liability is, it isn't $250 a month to the Holy Redeemer Credit Union. That is what I'm committed to pay. I owe far more than that. My total liability will be more than that. And you know that. Right? 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 Okay, then all right. So there was nothing misleading in that.
If you could go into the, so you say that, and I like the word that you use, perception.
Yes.
Perception-wise out there, there's a sense that, you took 10 people money, and you settled it out of court. That doesn't prove that you didn't, actually, just working out a payment plan or whatever, and then actually breaking that payment plan that they have to take you back to court to force you to continue to pay, gives a perception or the image out there, creates a negative perception and image of your person. Whether it be true or not, that's the perception that's out there. What can you do, or what have you done to try to change that image or that perception? Or what could you do to change that perception?
I'm paying. I've always been paying. In reality, it wasn't a situation where they had to take me back to pay. I can demonstrate. In fact, I demonstrated to the court that I had always been paying. The issue is that they wanted me to pay more. And again, I will pay. I will continue to pay. What happened was that in their effort to seek to have me pay more, they came down to a realization that, well, since you're paying, we just want you to pay $1,000 a month. And we come back in 4 months and we'll see where we go from there. You must understand as well that I was paying Mr. Barrow on a matter involving him, where I had gone and defended the party leader on national radio, and Mr. Barrow sued me as a result. I paid in excess of $3,000. I never asked anybody for a loan to do that, and my practice has been able to afford me that opportunity, but I couldn't do both. At the same time, I was paying Mr. Barrow something like $1,500 a month. And I went back to court to sue Mr. Barrow as well, because I wasn't satisfied that I was given justice, and I will not happily pay money that I don't believe I was wrongfully made to pay. But the court is what it is. I respect the decision of the court, and I did what I had to do, as I am doing what I have to do here. But to say that it's a misrepresentation, well, maybe it's not a misrepresentation, certainly not. I'm not seeking to deceive anybody.
Maybe a misunderstanding as to what total liability is. We can accept that.
And certainly the matter of the settlement is public record. So the full amount is there. I'm paying down on $200,000. And it's certainly less than what my assets are. And as I explained to the court, I am in a position, as soon as I'm in a position to do more than what I'm doing, I will. I am not a person who shy away from paying debts. I pay my debts. I've always paid my debts. In fact, in the campaigns I've run, it's public record that there's nobody knocking on anybody's door saying I owe them for work that they've done for me. I've not had that reputation.
You ran one election, right?
I ran one election and I ran another convention. You will not run 2 conventions in the election. You will not, yes.
No, one general election.
One general election.
A convention?
That was 2008, right?
2012.
Oh, 2012?
2012.
A convention, you ran 2 conventions and then 1 election, or
Yeah.
the convention was the election?
We had
I remember there was a
convention
controversy with Wade and so.
Yes, that was the first one.
That was the first, okay.
And then
And that was a convention. And
well,
the next one you were endorsed?
I was endorsed there, the one at Wade, and then I ran against Alvern Rivero in 2013.
So why 2013?
Because
Wasn't an election just 2012?
yes, but we did a convention in 2013. That's why we became standard bearer of Leisure North for the 2014.
That's when the whole issue started
Yes.
for the 2014.
Yes.
So that's the other issue too, because for the records that Well, I'm not a liar, and I guess that is why you have this whole thing in courts right now because of the issue of suspension, which you claim is not a suspension, and the parties claim that it is a suspension. So I guess maybe that is where something. But and I have to let that up to the lies that party for so long. But I mean, in terms of the party, at the discussions that we have had at National Executive level, it is viewed as a suspension, which is and the discussion that was had was that the suspension was 50, but they had put in 2 years probation.
Right, but the Constitution does not allow for a probationary period, and it does not allow for suspension of that length of time either. Then again,
the Constitution doesn't have every single detail of everything.
Well, under Section 25 of the Constitution, that's where it lays out discipline, and it's clear.
For the standard bearers, for the local committees. And then if you are dissatisfied with it, then you appeal to the national, that is under Article 13. Article 25 is the...
One of the powers of the National Executive gives it to have, to take into matters anything that deals with discipline or moral administration of the party, and then it has to be, any decision that has to be ratified at the next National Party Council. So, I think, in my ordinary mind, I see it as that the National Executive has the power to suspend or to lift a suspension as long as it then is taken to the next National Party Council.
Yes.
But again, like I said, that's
the suspension came about as a result of a resolution, and the resolution is specifically worded. Now, by virtue of it being a resolution, whatever powers that was vested in the National Executive and the National Party Council was subsumed within that document. So it's what that document says or did not say that holds sway. We can have belief, we can have what we think, but it goes back to what was actually expressed in those words in that particular document. So if the document does not say that there is a suspension that is ongoing, and I would believe that you guys would have the document here, but then again, the understanding has been, by virtue of the affidavit that I was granted, that was put aside, that all these matters here were put aside, and that basically the application is being...
Well, we haven't had a National Executive since,
right.
Since the court case or whatever.
So my understanding of things is that suspension, probation, all that is that in fact it was part of the press conference that I believe our chairman had.
So the
Which press conference, Chairman?
The chairman had a press conference after the matter was brought to the court, yes, and his...
2 weeks ago.
Yes, 2 weeks ago. And he said, well, the application will come in and there's no probation, there's no suspension. That has been withdrawn. And this is where we're at now.
He said there's no probation or there is no suspension?
Yes, it was set aside. That's why we're here. I mean...
Yeah.
And there's an affidavit in court to that effect as well.
Oh, this is after the
First
the reopening of the injunction removed from the convention, from holding the convention.
Yes.
And that is when he gave a press conference saying that there was no...
That the application will be treated as there is no suspension, no probation, as this matter never occurred. And in fact, there is an affidavit that he has signed to that effect.
He signed an affidavit saying that there is no suspension and there is no probation?
That the application will be treated as if these matters never occurred, yes.
The application will be vetted along, that the suspension had already been lifted, and so they were going to
yes.
give you the chance.
Yes.
And we would review the application.
Yes.
And the vetting committee would do it, and lots of other things were said in between, which I will not repeat. But he did not say that there was no probation, and he can't say that. That has got to be ratified. If that is done by a national executive, he can't say that without a national executive vote. So I know that he couldn't possibly have said that there was no convention, there was no probation that had been lifted. Which are the words that you're using?
No, I do believe that this was a matter that the lawyers had actually examined the resolution, because the entire thing has to do with the resolution. If the resolution, in its effect, did not allow for a suspension, it has nothing to do with the national executive at that point.
If the resolution, which resolution you're talking
The
about?
resolution of
Created the suspension.
precisely.
Long ago.
Yes.
4 years
Yes,
ago.
because that's where everything stems from.
Yes.
And if the premise is false, then the conclusion.
But the premise is not false.
But
There
that's-
was a suspension. There was a suspension. And no, Arthur, no spin from me.
No, I'm
There
not spinning.
was a
I am
suspension.
not
You know
spinning.
why? Because I was head and tails and toes with Wendy and Cassandra. So there was a suspension. And you were apprised of it. And you were suggested and told to appeal to the national executive. You didn't even bother to come. You sent Carol Williams. Because all of them, but you see, in that situation, I chose stone maybe, and I look. And I came because I couldn't stand to see what was happening to the party. And if Carol come up and said, we're not accept nothing, and she's gone. That was it. That was it. And I think you know that. And Henry Charles has been in communication with you and has asked you to come to the national executive. But no, you don't want to settle this the way it could be settled. You want to settle by saying, me Arthur Saldivar, as you said, out there in the courthouse, bring the party, stop a convention. No, that's what you said. Me, stop a convention on your webcam, and not tell me no, babes, go back and look for it. Not tell me no.
It's right here.
Okay.
Everything that I have said is right here.
Do you believe, Arthur, that these actions that you have undertaken, do you think it helps the image of the party, or do you think it brings on the image of the party?
The actions that I have undertaken.
What you have undertaken?
Recently, the battle with the court and the convention.
I did not want to be here. I did not want to be in a position as I have been placed in. But I do believe that as a member of the party, understanding what the Constitution portends and what it seeks to uphold, that it is my duty to ensure that the Constitution of the party, which binds all members, is given every opportunity to work the way it should. It's not a question of whether or not it does anything to the party, because at the end of the day, it can only help to strengthen the party. I sought to do everything in-house. I used every avenue.
Tell me, which avenues?
Every avenue.
Which ones? Tell me.
I applied as I was required to apply. When the application was not, when I was told that the application would not be entertained and it was based on the resolution, I wrote to the party, I wrote to the chairman, I wrote to the Secretary General seeking audience with the executive. It never happened. I went through every step. The only other step remaining was one outside of the ambits of the party.
The most important one you should have sought redress with.
Which one is that?
The honor of distinguished service.
Where in the Constitution does it say that?
The audience also has the disciplinary arm of the party, and
Yes,
especially for the vetting right now, the audience has been invited to first screen.
Yes, my understanding of it was that the ODS had looked at the application and that the executive said otherwise. And by virtue of that,
Function of the order, advisory by nature, but limitless in scope for discipline and will include recommendations. That's what you should have done. And you know that. When you told me that.
no. Again,
But you don't trust the manner of the chairman, you see.
That's not the case at all. What I followed is in relation to what the Constitution has as it relates to members who are seeking to hold office within the party. And what it says is that you appeal to the National Executive.
You appeal to the National Executive.
I sent a letter in writing to the National Executive.
Who received that?
It was received by the Secretary General right here at Independence Hall. I am certain that my chairlady from my committee can forward all the documents. In fact, they were part of the proceedings in court. Everything, all documentation and correspondences. It was not a situation where I just had a knee-jerk reaction to go to court on this matter. In fact, it would not have been entertained.
Why do you want to run? Why do you want to run in this election?
Why do I want to run? Because
why do you want to run for our party? And it's for the People's United Party.
I'm a member of the party. I believe in this.
Well, are you card carrier?
I have been a card carrier since 1989.
Is it card?
I have been a card with me, but I have been a card carrying member since 1989.
We like some members, so 50,000 other people over there are members of
With
the
which convention around with the
One Wade was 2011. Yes.
Concurrent members on the pay review, which division paid dues to?
At the time of the usual, no?
No, right now. You say your concurrent members obviously pay dues.
Right now.
Which division pay dues to?
Are we still collecting dues?
Yes.
Well,
No, you're not. Are we still
you want to
collecting
go to the
dues?
Constitution, not to the Constitution and use it.
No,
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
don't let us go there. Don't let us go there.
Right. You can't do because
I mean, we've
only
had so many
constitution
conventions
is
without
so
card-carrying members voting. I mean,
No, but I remember 2011 it existed.
But if that is going to be a
yes,
party.
at that time I had my card and paid.
You know, but at them,
I don't think my dues can be questioned. I pay a lot of dues to the party.
No, I agree with you.
I have noticed your noticeable absence from party matters. For quite a while, I can't tell it 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, that time flies so fast. You have done nothing. You did nothing to try and help the city council in Birmingham
No,
in this city
that's
council,
not true.
In the town hall city.
I donated chicken.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I supported their fundraising efforts. Yes, man.
You,
I did a lot of things.
You know something?
Including
I did nothing for the city council.
Including
But my God, did I give money. But presents out there. I couldn't. I have personal problems. But no, not can tell me that you the chicken, so you.
But not only that, man.
And you have always
I've been
been
on the airwaves all the time.
against the party.
What's
Every time you go, it hurts the party. And when I tell every time, because I don't hear everything. I am just otherwise occupied and engaged at this time. So I come into this, you know. I have heard and we have been informed of a lot of things that you say. I remember the last thing that you did was when you were gone with Wendy and Cass to Mr. Rodwell. Ferguson's recount.
Yes.
I would think that maybe that's the last time you spoke out. Because, but I don't think that you.
I think that was more than speaking out.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I do believe that one would attest, in fact, everybody there would have attested that we wouldn't have gotten the outcome that we got in Sandwich West without me being there. I do believe that they would tell you that.
Well, I don't know, but I remember you being there.
Yes.
I remember you being there.
Yes.
I cannot be the judge of what
Yes.
that you say today. But thank you. It gave us another seat.
It is.
The Marie the fine print on her, right?
I did.
Have you at any time said publicly you through with this party?
No.
Privately?
Probably never.
I through with this party.
I have never done that.
Have you at any time been asked to represent the PUP in Dangrega?
To represent the people in that area? In what capacity?
I guess legal. I don't think it was wrong. Understand that, girl.
It was after representing PUP in that regard during the last municipal elections, yes, and I was in that regard.
You demand money for it?
No.
Did you at any time say things like the PUP will not win another election? And that if they want you to run in Bemopan, they have up to $300,000 in your hand?
Never said
Never
anything.
said that.
Never. What? Where is that coming from?
You tell me. Obvious funny.
No, well, I can't tell you
It's a
because I
funny-
didn't say it, but
it's a
obviously
funny
I told
matter.
that to you. I never said anything of that nature.
Well, originate from conversations when you get hot-headed and you
No
find out
man, I'm not a hothead.
At this moment in time, if you were to run for standard bearer, would you be able to say, swear to work for the achievements of the aims and objectives of the peaceful, constructive revolution, the principles and programs of the People's United Party, to abide by the Constitution, discipline and decisions of the People's United Party? Would you be able to say that?
Without equivocation.
Then why didn't you abide by the decision that we asked you to help the party out in this next 2 years? And that's a decision of the party.
No, that's
That
again,
decision of
but that-
suture.
but no, that's
So
not
you
my
cannot. Then you cannot
That's
stand up and
that's not
and
the
swear
that's not the
to-
premise. That's not what you asked me.
I said, would you be sure?
You
I
said if-
knew I could put up my hand and
I
say
would-
it's good, but if I get back to the party and find out.
No, but I'm abiding by the Constitution. I am abiding by the
No,
Constitution.
no, you're not abiding by the
I am abiding by the Constitution. The Constitution says certain things. It gives certain rights and privileges.
Mhm.
And where those rights and privileges are breached, where my rights are breached in the Constitution, I have recourse.
Your
As
rights-
a
your rights
as a
are not
policeman, I
breached.
have recourse.
Your rights are not breached if some people decide that at this moment in time,
If they decide on an erroneous premise, then it's breached.
who determines whether the premise
Well, this
is
is the
erroneous or
thing.
not?
This is it. This is
They
the thing.
we decide that.
I have asked the party to review the resolution to determine whether or not the premise, which is the resolution, was in fact flawed. The party, well,
I don't know what
the persons
resolution
have-
and so, but I know that I can't tell you because I have never been in the National
But this is,
Assembly.
but
If I
this
could
is
just interject
So-
one last thing out of this. I mean, I guess we can't only people listen to you. And I don't want to go back and forth with the resolution because, like I said, I mean, that already they not handle the lives. We don't pass that regularly.
yeah,
So we have to spend right now.
right.
The party set out before the opening up of the conventions, the process that we will go through right now in terms of the conventions and so forth, timeline and everything. And the procedure, the process, goes through first and those preliminary vetting of candidates, and then it's passed on to the vetting committee, and then the vetting committee makes its recommendations as to whether we should allow X person to run and that person to run and so forth. So that is the procedure that the National Jury has set up for this convention. And so, I mean, that's where, and now we're here at the position where the vetting committee has gone through the application. We felt the need to interview. You're not the only person we interviewed. There are some that we did not interview. And we were abiding by the decisions that were taken. So that's the point where we're at right now. Whether we recommend you to be a candidate or not. So I was like, Chair, we were going back to the whole thing with the suspension. That the perception and the image, we can't change that, that's there. We have to take that into consideration. But I'm glad that you came and you certainly clarified how you feel about it. Because everybody feels differently about different things.
The only other thing I would like to say, I am not a good chair because I'm too emotionally involved in my party, and you hurt my party, you hurt me, and you have hurt my party. Anyway, and then I think that I can honestly say that I believe that we love the same icons of this party, George Price, Lindy Rogers, I can't even remember some of them. We loved them, and they would not. Max Samuels, he would not applaud your behavior. They would not applaud your behavior. We come here, there should be 4 of us here. Maybe several has experience. I don't. I just sit here, and I know people, and I know that I will defend my party to the best of my ability. And I have a gut feeling because, like you, I am a soldier on the street, and I hear things. We come here, 2 didn't show, yet you came here. Armed. Why did you feel you have to bring somebody? Again, on the family security.
Come here,
Why did you bring somebody?
my friend decided he was going to come to give me support. I have no.
Yeah.
He didn't come here in any official capacity. He's not retained by me. And
So
I believe that he
what
had
made you
indicated.
feel that?
I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
Again, he
You
has a
can
very busy.
honestly, I bought.
Yes, he has a very busy schedule. I
But
had
he
no
would
idea
take
that he
time
would
out from
be
this
here.
to come here.
Yeah.
Why?
He's a friend.
A friend.
He's a friend. Just as
And he thinks that this friend needed moral and legal support.
No, not legal support. I've not heard him put in anything edgewise legally.
You're writing so much over there and it's right. And family now and bar him, family ties now and bar him for letting it all out. I know that too. But we come here sincerely to try and tell you that we have these trepidations.
And I came here sincerely to allay those trepidations, to have you understand.
But you still not, you're playing games now. Anyway,
I'm
I
not
think I
playing-
should change shall make you be the chair.
No, it's not a matter of playing games. Again, I believe that the Nopal is a winnable seat. I believe I can secure it for the party. I believe that at the end of the day, we need every seat. And again, we're talking about a situation that is really under control, being dealt with in terms of what happened in the past. That has not been, it's an anomaly in terms of my career. There has been no issues that has been brought up. In fact, I've been a model citizen for the past 4 years. No scandal about me at all.
Wow. You know, see, we have everything. We got neither several, Victor, so you know we was interested in the past. We're interested in the present. What's happening now? And that's what's giving us trouble.
One last question
That's
from
what's giving us
my
trouble.
part.
No, it's in the past. That's past. I mean,
One last question. What makes you believe that you stand out as the best person of the 4? Well, yeah, that's true. No?
The 3.
How about Oscar?
Oscar, Michelle, and Wiseman.
So we do it before, no?
Yes.
and Patrick,
No, Patrick never applied.
he never applied.
And he's gone back to Canada.
So, what makes you believe that you are the best out of the 4 and that can bring victory for the PUP?
Bonfan is where I started. Kyle South as it then was, is where I started my political journey with Samuel. I know the people of Bonfan. I've been in Bonfan since 1974. One of the pioneers there in terms of my family. There are a lot of PUPs who were not voting and participating after 2003 when Gina died and Mr. Sam wanted to come back. For whatever reason, they decided they were not going to continue to participate at all. I have been in contact with those persons. I know them well. They are my neighbors, they are my friends. And they are simply waiting for somebody who would come in to bring back what we had when Sam Wick was there. And what we had when Sam Wick was there was a person who would take the time to find out what the needs of the people were, to go and do what is necessary to ensure that those needs were met, to give a listening ear when needed, to provide the kind of counsel and advice when needed, and to give a vision, bring a vision to Bonfam that we believe was what Mr. Price wanted. Not a one-dimensional, single-functioning entity dependent solely on the public service, but one that had an industrial and agricultural component to it to allow for greater and more numerous opportunities for economic advancement. Bonfam right now is being neglected. Some will tell you that yes, there are cemented streets, there are some cosmetic fixtures in terms of infrastructure, but we have widespread unemployment because the city has grown so much in terms of its population. It has outstripped the capacity of the local economy to support. And there's been a reversal in relation to what has occurred with the public sector in terms of the fact that before, when in 1970 to let's say 92, you had about 80% of Bonfam residents working in public service, but now it's only 20%. As the public servants have gotten older and retired, their children are not finding work there anymore. You have the ministers bringing in people from different districts, and that's what's taking place. So there's been displacement in terms of labor, and this is across the board. So I understand these things. I understand what is necessary to bring it back. I understand what would be required to have the private sector invest in Bonfam, and how we begin to expand and realize its full potential as the capital of Belize. So with that vision that I bring and my understanding of economics, I know I share that with you, understanding of economics, this is what the people want to hear, what they want to see. How we can put practical and pragmatic economic ideas to resolve the pressing issues of Bonfam, a city right now that is 6,400 people strong, that has a voting population that is almost 70%, which is unreal. 6,400 residents, 10,175 voters. We understand that there is widespread corruption in that situation there, and it needs to be addressed.
Huge public use.
Very much so. Now, I don't disparage the other candidates. I have not done that, and I will not do that, publicly or privately. I will suffice it for me to say that I'm in a better position to unite the party in Bonfam than any of my opponents. And I believe that that is where we need to go. We will not stand a chance if we cannot unite Bonfam. Most of the candidates, well, the other candidates, are not well known, and by virtue of the way they are operating, they will leave a huge chunk of the population out of the.
Two things. One, I'll be the first one to recognize that the country is splintered in so many factions.
Right.
Right, as you said, if you're not able to unite the party, you don't understand this chance. Secondly, the Bonfam has changed tremendously when Sandwich
Oh, yeah.
from Carousel, just Bonfam, and then you have the periphery with all those immigrant communities, many people who didn't know it.
Right.
So it's a whole different I'm not an expert in it, but just being a campaign manager, being working along with them for this also, give me some insights.
I have, well, my family has about we have properties there. So I've always been a part of the Bonfam community. And what I've been able to do, and my team has been able to do so far, we are able to have 2,900 committed pledges. Now, the goal is to reach 3,000 and above, because John Saldivar has never cracked that number. So I do believe that we have a viable candidacy in Bonfam. I don't know what the others have been doing.
Well, they're the same because when they go to conventions, everybody said that they are voting for him.
Well, true. True. But I believe that, well, this is the thing. We can go to convention and I would lose and I'd be the happiest, I would be the happiest PUP supporter, bringing all my experience, expertise, and resources to Belmopan to ensure that we get a victory in Belmopan. I would not abandon the party. I've never abandoned the party.
Regardless,
You know that.
You'll give more than chicken. Like in the
I would give my time, energies, and
You don't give
passion.
time and energy nor passion because God knows. I know you're passionate. I mean, that's not bad.
But regardless of what,
You know what you mean.
regardless of what
I understand.
Regardless of what happens, no? I mean, I think we do.
I'm
help and
asking,
everything.
all I'm asking is to be treated fairly. That's all I'm asking. Be treated fairly. That's what this has all been about, and I believe that's what all of us want. Ultimately, be treated fairly. I believe that.
I took down a quote from Mr. Price. No man greater than the
No, certainly not. No group. Because the members are the party and the party are its members.
And why?
The members in Belmopan.
If you were sincere, okay, and the injunction was dropped because the application window was open, why didn't you just withdraw your case? Why are you holding on to the substantive case? Why? Because if you do, it's your way or no way. You're not prepared to make it.
I don't get you.
You don't get me. You get me?
I didn't hear you.
Explain to your client.
No.
No, but it's a different matter in terms of what you're calling the substantive matter.
Well, the substantive case
It's
is
this problem that took him to court,
a
that
problem
they're
that,
treating him unfairly.
well,
So he
I
can't pull
don't
that
know
back.
that. I don't know that.
Yeah, but that is basically why both of them are in court. No?
So then, if we would say,
Be a
okay,
candidate.
be a candidate, then you drop it.
Yes.
You see, then you walk right into what I am
I
going to
have
say.
not answered.
No. Advisor answered.
That's how they were asking me.
So it's still,
No, but
it's
can-
no way or no way. That's what
No,
it is.
Lenny, can I, Mrs. Lenny, can I just try
But I mean, this is in
clear? Well, I want to be maximum respectful. The matter reached court because in his view and his committee's view, they look at it differently from how, as I think I hear you explaining it. In their view, the party just shut him out. You don't have suspension, you know what happened for you. So he felt he had to go to court. Because I guess as a
He went to court after he spoke with Henry. That I know Henry went up there, and I think it was a Thursday night, and spoke to you.
That was before all the correspondences, before the applications were actually.
No,
What was-
that was after they had not taken your application.
yeah,
I remember
they turned back to application,
Yeah.
they didn't
Right.
want to look
And
at
And
then
it.
then a
he
new
came
application
up
was
there.
sent back.
Yeah, but this is a new application.
No, this is the third application.
Oh, the two applications.
There are three applications. The first one was brought by Khaled, wasn't accepted at that moment, and then after that Henry came, because Khaled said I was expelled from the party. Right? Henry came to clarify that matter. So when he came
I
at
told
that,
you to appeal to the National Executive, which you didn't.
I did. I wrote the letter
You have copies of those letters?
to the National Executive asking for an audience with the National
We
Executive.
can check that.
It's all there. All the steps were taken that was advised of me to do. I did everything. And, well, the second application.
I think the only thing that it was brought up at the national level, I think the only thing was the national level, the discussion was okay, there was no need for you to actually come in and have an audience with the national level, and the discussion there was that we will lift the suspension
And impose a probation.
post operation of 2 weeks.
Asked you to work your way
So
back
again-
into the party because you had been absent for
Well,
a period of
if I
time.
could speak, I think it was more of just to ensure that these issues are resolved. You know, you don't have nothing else at court and another hearing application will pay and stuff like that. And so 2 years we thought was enough to go back and then to
Look,
revisit that. If it was still pending, then
Yes, but can I just say something which is a little absent from because you're referring to the original court case that brought about the suspension and bring us where we are today did. What has happened is that Mr. Saldivar was attorney for the whole Cole family, which is a process that started with the Financial Intelligence Service taking that family to court. A trial took place in the Supreme Court and they lost. They appealed and the Court of Appeal said the trial judge should have allowed the jury to discharge the case. Instead, the trial judge, having heard everything, says when a whole lot of lawyers were there, they all made submissions that on the basis of the evidence that came to court, the law is the trial judge does not have to continue. When who bring it to court close the case and they have no case, the law is it finishes there. Because of the type of case in our respectful view, the Court of Appeal said the judge just had to allow the jury, which was just for us to address the jury rather than address the judge. So then it took going to the Court of Appeal. They said the trial judge should have allowed it to go to the jury. So there was a retrial. And I'm going into all of that. At the retrial, the Corey family were found guilty of money laundering and sent to prison. And then almost on his own, fight, get bail for them, gone back to court, had another trial. Eventually, all these people were exonerated. During the course of which the father died because he was diabetic, and the prison is not the best place if you have that kind of sickness. So now the matter comes that they have to release the money that they had taken from the family. Okay? So they go through another process to get them to release the money. The money is finally released. And the situation is that one member of the family is making a big fuss that Arthur is charging too much. The media is treating it like Arthur thief the money or gone with the money. That on not a long process goes to court, and the Chief Justice says that for the work he did, they actually allowed him to charge more than he was charging the family out of the money. So I need to say that because I know that people who are looking at the news, they figure, what, Arthur got the people the money, Arthur got the money, Arthur got the money.
that's what I said.
But that is not the fact. And as he's explaining, it is the other party after going to court, and the Chief Justice is saying, no. The kind of work he do, he deserves to charge X amount. That's not he say that, the court is saying that. So it is important if it is a matter which you think, oh boy, the man have a big problem because it's on. So that is not reality. If you think that it is something that still needs to be cleared up, well, the voters in
How it was done, it can never be cleared up, because after you never just take all everything up front. It isn't how we get.
No.
Until the perception, you received the money from
the bank.
from central bank and everything,
Yeah.
and then you withheld that money.
No, that's not what
You
it is.
gave it to them and then they gave it back to you.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's impossible for them to be done.
Listen to me. Because this is
What, we don't clear it up here, but we just that.
Exactly.
And this is where the
Exactly.
misconception comes in.
Yeah.
2 vehicles were at Central Bank.
And 2 suitcases.
2
And
suitcases.
2 sick.
Listen to me. Hers were in front of mine. Okay. Her vehicle was in front of mine.
And you put the wrong suitcase in.
But no, I put nothing. She gave me what she gave me. This is how this thing went. This thing became a problem. You want to know when it came over? 2 weeks afterwards, when she wanted me to buy a house for her. So you could tell her about this thing, man.
But the issue,
point.
yeah, but the issue,
So they gave a good story. Yes?
Several-
Different from yours, but anyways.
but the issue would be,
But they have
listen,
different stories.
let us say that is the perception up there. The voters in Belmopan will decide on that. If he's allowed to be a candidate and they feel like it's an issue, it will be reflected in who they decide to support. You know, it's not.
There is a process like I explained.
And I will not cry foul if anybody wants to use that as an issue and campaigning against me. They can use that.
Yeah.
And the committee has to look at everything. And we are.
Yeah, but the
a political
committee must.
party.
The committee
This is a
must.
political party. We do get scrutinized. The image of the party is at stake. So,
And
No,
part of,
you're
and
not
part
the
of my
candidate.
trepidation would be, okay,
Yes.
you want to run,
Wrong.
you want to run badly. Like I said, I know you're passionate. I walk by your side, I walk behind you, I believe in a lot of the things you have done to help the party. I know that. But what I am saying is that it seems to me that when you don't get your own way, you don't care who is down, or who is hurt, or who will come down. All right. Let us say the vetting committee says, okay, let everybody run who want to run.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that's what everybody said.
Yeah.
There should not, if you want to run, that's,
Yeah.
I think that would be so
Fair.
dumb. So
Sorry?
dumb. You have to keep it with
Every
any camp they can have it.
What?
I mean, we can't.
But you're not talking
No,
about,
no,
what I'm saying. That's
Yes.
that's what we are getting out there. We're taking a licking too. But that's beside the point. Then, down the road, you win the convention. And down the road, okay, you run, you win the convention, and down the road, something happens because when 21 people are on one table and 29 people, there is conflict. You don't get away.
You can't punish
You
one
reach
person.
the
You
party
couldn't
again.
punish a person.
We don't know that, and we have to
You can't
protect
punish
the,
a person.
no, you shouldn't, but human nature
No, but
dictates
the
that
vetting
you
committee
have
can't do that.
to prevent for the, we have to take care of
The
the
vetting
party.
committee is not asked to do that.
The vetting committee is asked to this, and these are the things we have to ask ourselves. Down the road, when he has a case against the very party we are vetting the people to run. We represent the party right here. We have got to be very careful with who we, because that is the process. Who we decide can run and for what reasons. We try to make as many run as possible. Everybody want here. I've been wanting to run for 1975 and they tell me no. 2018 I still can't run. Well, too late now. But it never stopped me from work my party. It stopped me from work for my party. It never stopped me from getting out there and campaigning because serve the icon of the party, the icons we hold up there. The fact of the matter is, you create fear in our hearts.
I do. And a little old me.
Little old you
with-
put on a lot of weight.
It's a good life.
No, not at all, not at all.
In
But
that case, I said
and I want
to
to alleviate some of this fear because it's misplaced, man.
It's
I-
not misplaced.
Allow me to say.
Perception. Perception.
Allow me to say.
You started that.
Allow me
word.
to say. Okay. Throughout my political history, I have maintained discipline, loyalty. Till now. I have not attacked the party. I have only sought to have the Constitution take its rightful place. That's not an attack. No,
I tell you want me no better than that, man.
that's not an attack.
You want me no better than that.
Again, I'm hearing things that you know that I don't know. That I can't say you do, as I don't know the same thing you do. I can tell you what I believe and what I know. At this particular point, Ms. Lenny, here's the facts. Every time the party has needed me, I've answered the call for the party. Without,
Not for the last
Question.
4 years.
including the last 4 years. In fact, I've done such good work that the work lived after me. Huh? We had a Senate special a select Senate inquiry on immigration, which we still need to get the report for. And certainly, I believe I did quite a lot to bring that about. And certainly, I continue day in, day out, week in, week out, to bring issues. Whenever I speak, yes. People don't identify me as just artist Saldivar. That has been the case since I've been 17 years old. Artist Saldivar speaks as a PUP. And it will be from then now till, I don't know, till the day I die. But this is the thing. I have discipline. I've always had discipline. I am not here to tear down or bring down. I'm here to lift up. And I know that I can lift the party up higher.
Only by your means, your only. I mean, lifting up the party, you can't help us to push up the party unless it's your way. That's what it seems
not what
like
I'm
to me.
saying.
No, I said that's what it seems like to me.
No, but that's not so. I'm just, at this particular point, there was an issue where I believe I was not being treated fairly. I don't think that we'll ever have that issue again. I don't think it would be necessary to go that way again. And I'm here. I'm not like those who pick up the marbles and walk away and throw stones. I'm here. I'm here because this is my home. And I'm with family. And I'm here because I have belief in you, what you stand for, what you represent. And I know that you have the capacity and the heart to be fair. So I'm here to tell you.
My party first.
Precisely. Here we are. We're a party, members together. And I need.
So, back up and move forward. Let's work together, shoulder to shoulder. Push the party. Who knows what's going to happen next year or the year before? But it's not hope the party this year. I only have one more question to ask you. Because right now my head is spinning. One thing to ask you. Any other skeletons on drop out that closet? No, Simidimina Chetoman, no, Simidimi else, you sure? No more.
I am 46 years old. That's right.
Could be your mother.
I'm 46 years old.
Young
I
little
did.
boy, young little boy.
I didn't come to this age by making stupid mistakes. I've made one.
Oh, only one, okay.
I've made one. Not signing a retainer with Mr. Manifold. No one else stupid mistakes.
I want to overstep my bounds and ask outsider the vetting. Is the party never wrong?
Is the party never wrong?
Wrong.
You're asking me?
Yeah. No,
For
because
my
it's-
opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking for the party.
Right.
I haven't always agreed with everything they've done.
But is it ever wrong?
Well, no, I don't think the party can be wrong because they make the decisions. I have not always agreed, but I will support my party. I haven't always agreed with everything. Many things I know, you know that. But is the party wrong? The party can be wrong.
It can't be.
The people who make the decision who really want it. Maybe the party can be wrong.
That's your question.
Maybe, no, what you say, I'm not calling off a shit. I'm not.
No, just because you're taking the view like, come hell, come high water, we must support whatever the party do.
Yes.
Never.
Yes. We have to support the party. If not, we walk away. I won't be a member of a party that I can't support. I won't put my faith in the leadership that I can't support.
Ziki, I will agree with you. The party cannot be wrong. And because the
The boss
party...
can do no wrong.
No. The party is a compendium of all its members.
That's not true.
The trustees,
No.
those we elevate from the membership to have leadership positions, when they do not abide by the Constitution, then they can be wrong.
But in this case, part of the Constitution is, I can't remember this thing carefully, but it was abided by. Now, whether we know what happened in between, but you were informed, you were, not everybody may agree with the suspension again, but the majority will have its way, we know that. And then,
But they turned back his, anyhow.
No,
As you say, we are beyond that.
That's beyond
The
that.
party was wrong, man. 100% wrong.
well, I don't think the party was wrong, who never accepted it was wrong. I don't know who took that, but whoever did it because they believed that was in the best interest of the party. Okay? I don't know that was wrong, if we not feel
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
then
yeah,
why
yeah,
waste
yeah.
our time and say, because of this, we not think, because of all the things, we not think that he's a good person to be the face of our party. Why waste the time to accept one?
What he's
And accept the $500 and all of that? Don't. I think that maybe was, I didn't know. You had a fee obligation, me never even know that.
Yeah,
You get, okay then, your clothes, no. I guess that will be another liability.
No, there was only $500 there. But here's the thing. Again, you're correct. The party cannot be run because the party is a totality of its members. The trustees will feel a bit because we decide from time to time in conventions to elect persons to hold positions within the party. They have that responsibility to abide by what the Constitution allows them, exercise their discretion within the powers of the Constitution. Any one of us, as a member, if we realize or recognize that, hey, a decision is being made by those trustees, those officials of the party, that is not in conformity, and it affects me adversely, it's not for me to walk away. This is the institution I believe in. It is for me to seek to do whatever I can to correct it, first in-house, and then by whatever means I can do it within parameters of law. That is allowed. Now, we have seen where others who have been disagreed did not do that. They didn't even go through step one. Instantly damaged the party at critical junctures, brought it down from its position of development of country. We have seen that. This is not where I'm at, and this is not my ilk. Has never been my ilk. I went through a bad phase. In 2014, I accepted my penance. I did not lash out. I did not create a mess. I took time to reconnect with myself. Came back when I was whole to give full vigor and effort to the cause of the party.
The way you want it on your terms.
The way all of us would want it.
On your terms.
To ensure that we can succeed. Because I believe winning the election is what we are here to do. We must win. We can have lofty ideas and principles, and we can have many ideologies, but there's one basic objective of our party: win elections. We gotta win it. If we don't win it, we're not in a position to direct development. And if we're not there to direct development, all of our members suffer. Or at least the vast majority.
Then help us win it, like Dickie said here and do on the outside. We beg Dickie to run for us. Dickie won't run for us. Help on the outside. Or Dickie on the outside. Help us on the outside. People like you and Dickie can make a difference in this country.
We are vetting, but you already put me on the outside.
No,
You tell me I don't have a fair shot. We can.
No, what I am. You are putting words in my mouth. What I am telling you is that this is not only running, is not the only way to help the party. That's the only thing I'm saying. So don't put words in my mouth.
I agree with you. But what I'm saying,
can that be a possibility?
The party will decide that. The party, those members in Belmopan who form the membership of the party in Belmopan, let them decide that. Why take that from them? Why restrict the party in Belmopan from making a decision? If they don't want me to serve in that capacity, then I will be happy to serve in any other capacity if they don't want me to serve in that capacity. But give the party in Belmopan that chance.
I don't think we'll get anything more so.
Then what we're going on? An incident you have in Placentia that will blow over? You will cost out some people with their on TV?
No, man, again, I know you would never tolerate anybody calling you a nigger. I knew you would not tolerate that. And I knew you wouldn't tolerate German racists at that time following you and telling you these things. That's gone. That's gone. And I
right there over there on the TV.
No.
You brought it back quickly.
No, the thing about it is this. I was at a very vulnerable stage. My father was murdered 2 weeks before that. I was still in mourning. but I had an obligation to work at it was a board meeting. It happened. I regret it. I apologize for that. It's out of character, certainly. It's not my way. But,
I cannot remember it. All of a sudden, you did that. And I saw it. I never remember that. There was something.
John Saldivar, there are so many ads with John Saldivar, man. John Saldivar can.
That's something I want with you on Mason
Huh?
too, sir.
With me and who?
You on Mason? He said, yeah, good friends, sir.
I run Mason off Baker's Ranch, man. I run him off Baker's Ranch.
But
He's no friend of mine.
I like
No friend of mine.
I like to be devil's advocate.
So the only thing hanging over your head is the smell of the creativity.
It's not hanging over my head. It's resolved. She's getting what.
What we are doing now,
You should get-
as much side for the speak to the other members and get the final decision. It's really good for us to get the came and they did find it from us.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm here. Again, here to serve.
That's a membership by the people.
Running Colette.
Huh?
And then they keep running Pete Square.
Been there, done that already. And that's not what I want to
Collect as opposed to Bonaparte?
No, what of the party in Colette?
I have no idea about Collect. I'm a Bonaparte man.
And why have you done and grew on that?
Why went to Bonaparte?
Maxwell was grooming him.
I was campaign manager of Royal North from 1992 to 2008.
I know you were there a long time. I never ever know that you would have become Democrat. I just say that you come on and go to Democrat.
My first political experience in Bonaparte, I was part of that team there. With Samwick. When Samwick went up against Philip Brackett, I was there.
That was much of a broke again. I wouldn't take too much credit for that.
Well,
I don't know much about
he didn't have much of a challenge anytime he ran. He won all the time.
Alright.
Yeah, man. When it's off for sale, man, huh?
We
could have up like you guys, eh?
And I don't know where I could find you, right? So
I know, boy. I'm very deep in the outside.
You go up on a chance. You need to win.
We have not met. How are you? What is your name? Lyra. Yeah? Beautiful name. Henry VIII, I am.
Angelos Chris.
Okay.
That,
Alright, come.
that's our foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
What?